I don't know why this is such a pet peeve of mine, but I hate when occupational therapists always say, "Well, I'm not a certified hand therapist, but what? What? You know enough. You know enough. You don't have to be a certified hand therapist to be able to run your own business, to be able to be an expert in your area. Would it be nicer so you don't have to fucking sit here and explain everything to everyone? Of course, it's nice to become a certified hand therapist. Hand Therapy Secrets is all about becoming a certified hand therapist. But if I'm honest about business, you don't have to have it. It's just a nice marketing tool that you can use, but you know enough. So it's time for you to decide what to do with the information you know. My name is Wong. I'm an occupational therapist and certified hand therapist. And over 10 years ago, I started Hands On Therapy Services, my clinic. And then over 5 years ago, I started Hand Therapy Secrets to share what I know and help therapists have more choices in their career. And if one of your choices is to have a side gig, start your business, whatever it is, you know enough, right? So I don't know why. It's one of my pet peeves. It's like, you don't have to become a certified hand therapist. You want to become a certified hand therapist. Use your CHT credentials to use as marketing. If you are a different specialty within the occupational therapy realm, use that specialty to attract a very particular type of patient towards your clinic. But don't think that that's the end all be all. You don't need to have more certifications. You don't need to have more information to start where you're at to provide the kind of care and level of care that you can provide for the type of patients that you're going to attract to you. I say that because as a certified hand therapist, I thought I could only be valuable to people with hand and arm like fractures, surgeries, and injuries, right? I never really saw the vast amount of people that I can actually help that doesn't necessarily have anything to do with, oh, like you have to be a CHT, right? There's tons of people helping people in the world with all of the different levels of specialties. Doesn't have to be like CHT. I think becoming a CHT has allowed me to be a very particular type of critical thinker, right? But don't let getting more and more credentialing and specialties hold you back. I'll share with you when I became a certified hand therapist. I mean, it was fantastic. I was so happy, but to me, it was like short lived. It wasn't like I basked in it like forever. I got easily bored, but that's again my personality. I got easily bored. And when I went out on my own business, I started to attract certain patients that were chronic in nature. They weren't just how do you call it, finger fractures and flexor tendons. I started to attract a lot of different people, and I was like, oh my god, I don't have this specialty. I don't have that specialty. I need these specialties. And really, at the end of the day, you don't. You just need to know more than the person that you're helping. So once you start getting a type of diagnosis, I started getting very difficult tendinitises. I started to get things that just didn't make sense. So I started to take spine classes. So I started to take, when you work in a hospital system or you're kind of in a box, you sort of forget that there's a lid to that box that's totally open, that you don't have to stay in that box, right? So I looked up, when I first started, I looked up what was the guidelines. Can I treat spine? And there was nothing in there that said I couldn't treat spine. It says that you can treat spine as long as you've taken classes and learned what to do. So as occupational therapists, what we can't do is high velocity manipulation. We can do joint mobilizations. We can do all the soft tissue stuff, everything as it relates to helping someone become more independent, more functional, pain-free. We can help them avoid injuries. We can help them avoid surgeries. We can help them avoid injections and all that good stuff, right? Being more of holistic. If you love adaptation, do more of the adaptation. I'm not an adaptation person. Let me tell you, if I'm turning 50 and I heard something and my therapist was like, oh, let's modify and give you, no, rehab me back, bitch. Rehab me back. I'm like, if you want to modify my life, modify it for a short window of time, but rehab me back because that's what I want. And in my mind's eye, that's what I was thinking for my patients. Like, why are we always constantly adapting their environment or using tools? I think all that's fantastic and great, but at the end of the day, if I'm a young person and I'm young at heart person, whatever my age, I would want to be as quote unquote normal, whatever I was doing before, right? So that's how I would think. So I started to dive into like spine classes. I never took spine classes before just because where I was working, it's just like, oh, PTs do this, OTs do that. And so here we are put in these boxes because other people put us in there. And lo and behold, you don't have to stay there, right? So early on, I started seeing very particular cases and I started to refer them because I was like, oh, let me refer you to someone I know who's really good at that. Well, then when my patients would come back and they were like, well, I don't really like that place or I don't really like how they treat. I like how you treat. And so I was like, oh, okay, well, yeah. Why didn't I think of that? So that led me onto this path of like, let me take some very key specific classes. And then, you take classes to speed up your learning, not because you couldn't learn it on your own. I could learn it on my own, but I'm doing a million other things to grow my business. Why wouldn't I take a class to speed up the process, right? To point me into the right direction, show me your secrets. So I started taking some spine classes. I had to go through a few because that shit is boring as fuck. It is so boring. It is like sometimes some of the classes are just so in detail that you don't necessarily like. We're not in school. I'm not getting quizzed on this, right? What I need to know is what do I do if I have this? What do I do if I have that? How do I problem solve this? Here we are. So I started taking spine class, started treating like a whole nother level of patients. And then because I myself have a lot of knee injuries, I started treating my own knees because I could not find a therapist in my area that I really liked that I wanted to work with. Everyone kind of treated me like, they passed me along and they're like, oh, you can do this, you can do that. No, no, no. I'm coming because I want someone to do this to me. Just like your patients, they want to come to you because you can do it. It amazes me. Y'all people never want to cook for yourself. You order takeout, DoorDash because you don't want to drive, and yet somehow you think all your patients should do their own exercises. Not everyone wants to do their own exercises. Some people want the help, they need the help, and they value that help. So I started to take some, classes, but here's the thing. I was doing it, I was taking classes, and then I was like all interchangeable. It's all at the same time. Not like, oh my God, I have to learn it perfectly. Let me learn this perfectly before I do anything with it. And that's the point of this video and podcast. It's like you already know enough of what's going to get you started. The only thing you need to do is to take action on the information you already know, right? As long as you show your patients you have a vested interest in helping them and you know where to look, you got books, you have resources, you know how to figure it out, get that patient and start figuring it out. So you don't need to have more information. You don't need to be like, oh my God, let me not take any hand patients because I'm not a certified hand therapist. Are you kidding? How are you going to build your business? How are you going to become a certified hand therapist if you're sitting there saying, I'm not a hand therapist? We are our worst limiting behavior in person. If there is one person that you can look around and say, who is this bitch that's blocking? Look in the mirror because it's you, right? You're blocking yourself. As soon as you have that awareness, you can then turn it inside out and say, okay, I'm now aware of my behaviors. Why am I limiting myself? I literally was like, there's this video on social media and it talks about like flies or gnats or something like that. And if you're put in a box, right? That they'll just fly and like live their life in that box. And as soon as you take the box away, they will still live within the confines of that box. We, to a certain extent, society, the culture of therapy, right? The culture within you have the culture of, men should do this, women should do this, religion should do this. Like we have those bigger culture, but within the therapy culture, there's a culture that says OTs should do this, PT should do this, and that somehow CHT should do this. There is no should, could, or whatever. It's just whatever it is that you want. You want to build your practice a certain way. You don't have to become a certified hand therapist. Can you continue to learn and be one? Absolutely. Does it help you? Absolutely can. Do you have to have it? No. You just need to know how to help solve the one problem that your patient has. My patients, they come to my clinic because they cannot move, or they are in pain, or they cannot do push-ups and they want to do push-ups. They come to me because they're worried. My patient came to me, she started just a few weeks ago after a distal radius fracture. She had been going somewhere else. She literally came to me because now the doctor told her that something was not quite right and she might need another surgery. So she's pretty upset about it. And what did I do with her? Didn't charge her for an appointment. I was just like, sit down, let's talk about it. Tell me what's going on. I don't make decisions for people. I point things out to help them make decisions based off of the information, based off the x-rays. This is what's going on. I even brought out my textbook. Bring out a textbook. Literally brought out the Rehab of the Hand textbook, 818, so wrist chapter. Showed her some pictures. We talked about what her options are and what can bring her more certainty. And you know what she said at the end? I kind of already knew what I needed to do, but I needed the reassurance. I needed to have a game plan. And that's exactly what we did. I was like, you don't have to make the decision today. Go home, think about it, but here are your two options. And there's a certain amount of uncertainty, but you have to decide, what are you willing to live with, right? What are you willing to live with? So as therapists, you don't have to know everything in order to help your patients make those like life decisions. Like it's a big decision to have another surgery. It's a big decision not to have another surgery and just decide, keep trying therapy. But when you're paying out of pocket, it's a lot. So it's a lot, it's several $1,000s, and you want to know, like, is it going to help? So you're helping your patients make that decision the best way you know how. And you know how. You don't have to have a certification for it. You just have to understand the problem that your patients have. And, that's why I'm 10 toes down on clinical skills, because I don't think that I would be able to have that type of discussion with her if I wasn't 10 toes down in understanding anatomy, nature of the injury, and the processes of the rehab process, the recovery, and what I'm capable of doing. What I'm capable of doing is not attached to the three letters behind my name. It is attached to how I think through a particular case and how I can back it up with science, right? And I guarantee you, like I tell my therapist, you know enough. You just now have to have that confidence that you can go back to what you do know and pull it out from back here, right? Pull that shit out and say it in a way that's confident, because it's not just what you say, it's how you're saying it. That if you can do it with a level of confidence, and having built that trust with her already as a patient helped her immensely, right? So don't wait. You waiting is just you procrastinating, and you not dealing with the fact that you're not dealing with those inner thoughts, those inner beliefs, and the level of confidence, to just take action. And I guarantee you cannot get there without making those steps, without taking action over and over and over, having those conversations over and over. And you can do it as long as you allow yourself to it. So you are your own limiting belief, behavior in person. If I was next to you, I would smack the shit out of you and be like, get it together. Let's move it along and let's just take some action. Okay. So, and that is coming from someone who's a certified hand therapist, right? You don't have to have it. Just have to do. Keep doing, chug along. If you need my help, the links are below. I can help you from a business perspective, but I also can help you from a clinical perspective if you need my help. I'll see you on the next video. Oh, and if you like this shit, please like, subscribe, leave me a comment. That really helps me with YouTube and the algorithms and like showing it to more people. All right. Thanks.